Hello, my name is Mickey Peters, and welcome back to the Upside of Authentic Leadership. I'm really excited to have today Michele LaRocco. She's a recent friend. We've met in my process to build my Vistage group. We met uh, on a phone call. It turned into a Zoom call, and we've had several Zoom calls, and it's been really a learning experience for me. Michele, and she'll tell you more in a minute and in a much better way. But her specialty is using art in business spaces and in of course in office space, but also in unconventional ways to help businesses communicate with their workers and with their clients, their culture, their values, and so I'm not initially or not say much of an art guy. I've been to the Prado, I've been to the Louvre. That's pretty much, and I have a few paintings that I know and love. That's, but I say a few, I mean less than five uh, paintings that I would consider, classics that I really know by name and know the artist and that resonate with me. But anyway, so it's been really interesting for me to learn about this and we'll talk, let Michele introduce herself, and then we'll talk about some ways that maybe that art can be used to help bridge the gap between the company and its workforce in this age of remote workers and yeah, all the challenges that brings to onboard them and make them feel a part of something without physically being in the same space. So with that introduction, I'll let Michele introduce herself and share some things with you, and then we'll continue the conversation. Michele, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I'm Michele LaRocco. I'm the founder of Mona Loves Gustav. We are an art tech startup based in Houston, and we are working on how people experience and engage with art and how art can be influential in our mental well-being, in expressing who we are as a business and a culture and who we are as people. So we created something called the Art DNA Quiz, and we offer it to people for free. You take our quiz, you get a personality assessment and a curation of art that you can experience and enjoy. It's like, what a missed opportunity, right? It was an
Mhm.
opportunity for two sides of the same coin to come together and have an honest conversation and to really start to understand each other. And ultimately what we ended up doing is we rehung the show, but and they ended up with a new collection, but I would love to now have gone back and been like, this is an opportunity for some really interesting engagement.
Well, and that's a great segue into the next sort of conversation here is using the process of and just art in general of one of the challenges I hear a lot about is the challenge of bringing younger, just recent graduates or workers in their 20s or 30s into a company, onboarding that employee, and just and when they're maybe partially or totally remote. How do you bridge that gap, right? It's hard enough when you're a baby boomer or Gen X and you got 20, 30 years difference already and when you had all that office time together, you had more opportunities to interact around the water cooler and talk about sports or whatever. And that's greatly diminished now. And so, using, for example, the process that you described, C-suite only, and you talk to the CEO and maybe a few other of his direct reports and his assistant, and so describe, I guess, the process you go through now to engage the employees in the selection and the
Yeah, so right now it's, what you need to keep in mind when you're building art into your spaces is that art has an incredible impact on people. It can make you feel comfortable and it can make you feel very uncomfortable. It also can reinforce your culture and your brand, or it can completely upend it. So thinking about art as just being something pretty and decorative, it's never been that. And the idea that you're wasting the opportunity to make an impact is, I think, is a shame. So right now, what we do is we will come in and we will say, hey, here is the quiz. You're going to take this quiz and we're going to do an assessment of the people who work in this office. We're not going to find the same personality types. Everybody's going to be different. Visual taste is different, but there will be these common threads. And we are going to link up these common threads of what the people in your spaces respond to, what they find refreshing and a reprieve from stress, or invigorating when they need a moment of like coffee, right? Like caffeine. And we tie that back to what is the overall goal, brand, and mission of your company, right? So if you're an environmental company, we're going to find you environmentally friendly artists, and we're going to have art in your space that speaks to your mission. We're not going to have art in your space that is toxic and bad for the environment. If you are interested in diversity and inclusion, which everybody should be interested in that now, but you want to put your money where your mouth is, then put art on the wall that speaks to the diversity of your employees, that invites them to be included, that invites the community that your employees live within and operate within and are a part of into your space.
That's great.
Yeah, so that really is what we're trying to accomplish here. We're trying to have the ability for people to understand that art isn't just a pretty thing. Art really does have an amazing impact for what it actually costs to do it, that allows you to have the authentic voice of who you are, who your company is, and who your people are, and make them feel like they're not just whatever number employee hire they are.
Right, right. And it provides an opportunity to engage, right? And you
Yeah.
can, just talking about the artist, or you mentioned the art itself. And so then, um, in the presentation of the art, it creates an opportunity. And that's what people are really looking for, not just hey, let's all get on the Zoom with a drink in our hand and talk about, I don't know, whatever, awkward, not very effective. You don't really feel connected. You hope you don't get called on, um, kind of thing where, hey, we're talking about something that's neutral, and that, in terms of it's not triggering. And so then people are able to maybe express something about themselves that other people didn't know and maybe wouldn't know just in the normal work day. But then they're, oh wow, I didn't know that about you. You're from Colombia, or you're,
Yeah,
something that's unique.
absolutely.
Yeah, unique to them, and taking advantage of that and creating the opportunity for the different levels within the company to have something to talk about and learn about each other and share about themselves, be a little bit vulnerable, and that creates then that engagement, and then you feel more known, more connected, more part of something, and not so isolated and disconnected or yeah. So have you seen that in this new approach? Have you seen that happen?
Yeah, so if you think about a really easy way for me to explain art DNA is, if you're looking in my space right now, right? If I were to come into your home, the sofa in your house is the largest piece of furniture in your living room, right? And it is going to be the most neutral thing to you, right? So if you were to come into my house and I had a purple sofa with pink flowers on it, that would be a lot for a lot of people, right? Because it's so visually large, it takes up a lot of space, right? So then now, if you're thinking about, well, the pillows and the accent rugs and the throws and everything, that's like a smaller part of my personality, right? It's things that I want, but they're in smaller dosages. And then there's always in all of our houses that little something that a friend will find or somebody who's just meeting you will find, and they will go, what is that about? Like, I don't get that. I would never have imagined you having that in your home. But for the people who really know you, they're like, of course that's what Mickey would have in his house, or of course that's what Michelle would have in their house. That makes so much sense. So with Art DNA, what we're trying to do is we're trying to give people the opportunity to show who they are in a visual aesthetic way. They can be, they can have the pieces that make them feel comfortable. They can have the pieces that show a little bit about who they are. You know, the big pillows and the throws and the rugs and the accents. Or they can have that really small, weird thing that is a complete insight into them. It would never be in a big dose. It would always be in a small dose, but you get a flavor of who someone is. And it makes you see someone, it helps you to see someone besides the button up exterior that they're giving you, right? So my husband, he grew up out in West Texas on a ranch. He's in ops, supply chain logistics, people who, he's introverted. You know, when you meet him, you would think he's very buttoned up. You would think the type of art that he would be interested is in very representational landscapes and things like that, which isn't necessarily not true. But he has this whole other side of him that's loves going kayak fishing in the ocean for sharks. You know, it's like what crazy stuff that you wouldn't know. And you get to know him when he puts his guard down. And he puts his guard down when he feels like he's in an environment that is safe and conducive to do that. And, you know, how do you do that? How do you do that for introverts? How do you recognize that the people aren't not speaking because they're standoffish or because they're, you know, not engaged or any of the negative things that we usually tend to associate? But how do you know that it's just, they just need an opening? They need to be able
Right.
to pull a thread, and that thread makes them feel safe and comfortable. And it's a habit that then gets formed, and then your manager recognizes that, oh, if I'm going to get Eric engaged or Michelle engaged, I need to throw this out to them for them to grab. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're trying to, that's what we're trying to use the art to do. We're trying to use the art as a way to help people find these threads.
Right, right. So then even, kind of shifting a little bit to the more remote, I don't know if, where this came from, but the idea of having the, like behind me, you now have the Vistage, backdrop, but having art as a backdrop, and explaining maybe, why that piece of art is appealing to you or something about it that you connect with, providing a way even in remote situations for people to maybe they pick, you have 10, 12 options, before a Zoom meeting, and you pick the one that appeals to you, and then you explain why it appeals, using art as a way to, simple as something as simple as these screensavers, which nobody knew about, or not screensavers, backdrops. We really didn't know a lot about until it's COVID, and all of a sudden we're, meeting in our house that's a mess, and you need something to put up there so people can't see all the chaos behind you.
Oh,
Um,
no, it's true. I mean, I meet a lot of people who don't want to show their homes. You know, it's a funny thing. You know, your home used to be your sanctuary. It still is your sanctuary, but now that we're in business here, right, we're having to have spaces in our homes that are dedicated to work environments, right? And and we're having to share that environment with people who, let's face it, most people don't invite their boss to their house and say, hey, come look in my living room, you know. But that's what's happening with remote work. If you're in somebody's living room,
right.
and you know, not everybody wants to share that, but also having a just a blurred out thing behind you, it somehow it feels, it doesn't feel hospitable, you know, it doesn't feel welcoming. It's like, well, why is it all blurred out? What are they worried about? And it's just all of these little things and thoughts that we do to ourselves and we tell ourselves about something that is just as simple as it's just the background, right?
Well,
Right.
but then using the art as a way to have a Da Vinci, or I might have Rembrandt's, the Return of the Prodigal Son. Why is that? Well, I love the parable. I really resonate with probably all three characters in the story. And so it's always meant a lot to me. I read a book by that title. Um, so that's something that I really connect with. And so then people, hear something, and I'm able to share something. Again, it's about bridging the gap and connecting, finding, as you said, a thread, something that's natural, that's meaningful, but not too much, right? It still is work, or we don't want to, we're not in therapy, or we're not in, we want to give people a little glimpse into, and maybe later have a follow-up conversation about, but where people need to know that they're present, that people notice them, that they're aware of who they are, and want to know who they are. That's basically the idea, that they care, right?
Yes.
That the people on the call are other people. We're not robots. And so with the Brady Bunch, the Zoom or Microsoft Teams just being a box in a sea of boxes, sea of faces. And so I really like the idea. And then with artificial intelligence, it just adds a whole nother dimension to it, that once you have the feedback on the quiz, people badge in and you see who's there for the day. Maybe you tweak the art there because there's more of these than of those, or, so they're more personalized. You feel like the space itself is responding to your presence, right? Or, you have
Right. Absolutely. I mean, you could have, you know, imagine walking into the building and there's these large plasma TVs, right? And this works for the new hires that are coming in. This works for customers that are coming in, vendors that are coming in. You have them take your company's art DNA quiz, right? And you now are learning all of these little soft and tangible things about them. So what was going to be maybe a cold and uncomfortable and a work to get like the person to feel at ease meeting is now all of a sudden, hey, I'm surrounded by some really beautiful things that I can just kind of look at and be contemplative in, or I can be energized by. And it's been customized for me. It's been curated for me. And it's speaking to so many things about what this company cares about. People, I think the older generations are having a really hard time understanding it's not all about the paycheck. It's not all about health benefits, right? It's about purpose and mission. It's about getting up in the morning and recognizing that you have a choice in where you spend your time and energy and where you put your ambitions. And I can do that at a place where I'm just a number and you're ticking off boxes, or I can do that in a place where somebody is truly, truly trying to understand what their employees are about, what their employees are thinking, and doing it in an authentic way that isn't just checking boxes, right? So
right.
none of these things are heavy lifts, right? It really isn't. If you're in a Zoom meeting and you've got a team of new hires and their art is showing you so much about who they are. Maybe it's somebody who picked pieces that are from the LGBTQ community. Maybe they pick pieces by inner city artists who are underrepresented. Whatever they're picking, maybe they pick Mona Lisa. Whatever they're picking, it's telling you a lot about aesthetically what they like, the energy that they bring, and it's giving everyone a chance to say, hey, I like the Mona Lisa. Have you actually ever seen the Mona Lisa? Did you know how small the Mona Lisa is? Like, all of a sudden you have all of these uh, points that bring up in conversation, whereas before you're like, yes, I went to the University of so and so. Well, okay, great. You know,
or when you have the icebreaker of it's either the favorite breakfast cereal or your favorite Tex-Mex restaurant or so then you have something different, right, to talk about that gives a little more insight into your personality. And again, it's not a heavy lift, it's not going super deep, but I think, as you said, and I'm one of those, I'm a baby boomer. I'm on the left. I was born in 64, and that's officially the last sort of the baby boomer, and it starts the Gen X, I guess, starts in 65. So, finding that, yeah, and I did for most of my career is like you show up, you go to work, you don't, you get paid, the check doesn't bounce. So been a good month, right? And you're not expecting any much more than that. You kind of just, that's just the way it is. That's what you do. But now, as you mentioned, they want to know who they work for. They want to feel like they're being valued and being able to participate and engage, which is, I think, is a good thing. I think it challenges, you said, us more senior folks to realize that means we have to show up in a different way. But the struggle is, how do I do that without being awkward? Am I prying too much? I feel awkward even, engaging in the conversation. So the art gives you a nice catalyst, if you will. But then, okay, wow, why did you pick that? And why does that resonate with you? Or, I've been to the Louvre and I saw the Mona Lisa. And did you know how small it is? So
yeah.
it opens the door to some conversation beyond just, what's your favorite sports team? And, where'd you go to school? And, sort of the typical questions that you really don't get any deeper insight on the person and kind of what makes them tick. Or so, yeah, that's what I really liked about it, is that again, that it provides a neutral, but very meaningful, can be very meaningful catalyst for a conversation. But then, oh, I didn't know that about you, or I never would have thought that about you, or so yeah, I think that's a very, very powerful um, concept, is the word. Yeah, opportunity and concept.
Yeah, so I think that one of the biggest mistakes people make about millennials and Gen Zers is they say that they're easy to quit, and that they don't have a work ethic. Like there's all the comedians out there. Everybody loves bashing on millennials and especially the Gen Zers. But the reality is you will not find a more impassioned employee. You will not find somebody who would work harder for you, right? They just need to know that they matter, that they are of a value to you, and that your mission and your values line up with theirs. And that's a really powerful employee. And it doesn't take a lot, it is awkward, and there are things that are hard to talk about and hard to say between the different generations. But imagine in an environment where you have people who are only coming into the office every couple of days, and you're needing to build culture. You're needing to get people to understand that they're part of a team. Well, how are you supposed to do that? Like, oh, we're going to go to a happy hour. That's not going to be something that everybody wants to do. Okay, so everybody just went and worked a full day, and now you want them to come and spend their off time at a happy hour event with you, which isn't really going to be a happy hour event, because if they drink too much, they look like idiots and you're going, oh my God, we hired this person. Or if they're not drinkers, you've put them in an environment that they don't want to be in. So just take a step back and imagine that it's a Friday and most of the people are coming into the office, and you have an artist showing up to do an artist talk, right? And anybody who's interested in, maybe those people who have that art DNA, that personality that would vibe with that, are invited to come and see a show, talk to the artist, hear their process. Now in a room, you have all of these serendipitous kind of meetings. You have people from different divisions, different departments, all standing there, all engaging, all asking questions, and also seeing each other and saying, hey, I had no idea so and so from accounting would be here. You really, you like this? What? it's not hard. It really isn't hard. And the benefit that you get from those moments, the creativity, the innovation, the way that you can start rethinking, that's where it all comes together. You know, it's small lifts in the beginning. Yeah, I mean, I'm saying it's not a big lift. Look, it's because I'm an expert and I'm the one that created our DNA, and it's easy for me. I can look at a space, I can look at a company, and I can start to know what are you trying to communicate versus what you're actually communicating, right? So once you get the Rosetta Stone version of your company understood, right? It's a very powerful tool. You now
Hmm.
are expressing in different ways that people aren't always going to rock. Like nobody's going to walk into your lobby and go, that painting really speaks to who they are as a company. No, but they're going to walk into your lobby and they're going to have a feeling, before anybody has said hello to them, before they've talked to anyone in your group, they're going to have a feeling in your space, right? And you're in control of that feeling. You have the ability to either say that this is going to be a feeling that people are going to have that they want to do business with you, or they're going to be going, what is this? Like, I don't understand why I'm uncomfortable in here, but why am I uncomfortable in here? I thought we were coming to an IP attorney's firm and they have all these old masters on the wall. I'm supposed to trust them with my technology. We're cutting edge. Like, what's with the stuff on the wall, or vice versa? We're estates and trust planners and accountants, and oh, they've got all this really weird avant-garde art that makes no sense and is really unnerving. Does that feel like somebody I should trust with our company's finances? It's not that you make necessarily the connection, but you have the feeling,
Right.
and that feeling lingers.
Right. Right. Well, yes, that's right. I think it's important to be aware of that and not just as you say, it used to be one or a small select group that would select the art with no input or no real thought to what you just said, and then those kinds of disconnects happen. Well, this has been amazing. I just realized we had so much fun. We're already past 30 minutes, so that's the way our conversations usually go. It's really been a great journey for me, and I'm sure the folks listening as well. And hopefully, they connect and yeah, take advantage of this idea, this concept. So I think it's super powerful.
Oh,
So
thank you.
Michele,
I love talking to people.
yes. So hopefully we'll get some more opportunities to do that. Thank you again for your time, and you have a good weekend.
You too.